Heidi ho, good neighbors. What's going on? It's Phil Russert, and this is Creatorcon Q&A special episode. We put it in for good friends of mine, good people, great creators, and it's exciting because it's one of them's first campaign ever, so that's always cool. We're going to talk about the ups and downs of campaigns. We're going to talk about the book that they are promoting. We're going to talk about a lot of things. So share this out. Let everybody know we're here. Let's give them some love because, as you know, it is tough to be an indie creator and get the word out there. So we need to show love. So while we're doing that, I am going to share out. In the meantime, um, tonight's guests are pretty cool dudes. We have Peter Palmiotti, who is a famous inker, Marvel DC inker, and does a ton of indie projects. And he's got his own work that hopefully we're going to see soon. And then we have Mark Torres, who is the host of It Came From the Radio. So without further ado, we have Mark Torres and Peter Palmiotti.
Hello.
What's going
Hello.
on, fellas?
Keep him busy.
Fellas, how you doing there, fellas? I'm sharing this out. So, first of all, congratulations because you're doing very well. I know it may not seem like it; it's stressful, but you're a first campaign out of nowhere, and you're over 4,000. So you're doing fantastic. You're gonna fund. Don't worry about that. You just keep pushing. You just keep plugging, and you do what you got to do. Um, but before we get into the campaign and what you're doing, tell us about it came from the radio and how you really got into this whole pop culture and media scene.
Came from Radio is the official the Big Apple Con. We started in 2003. I was driving home from the cemetery one day and I heard an announcement on the radio saying, hey, if you want to have your own show, if you have a passion for a niche audience, call us up. You can talk to experts in the industry and network in your field. And I was like, that sounds like a good idea because at the time I had wanted to always have my own comic book. So the head canon was, hey, I can use the radio show to get my book published. So in a roundabout way, it sort of worked because I actually did get a book published in 2010. It'd be the Sunburst Phaser graphic, Sunburst Phaser issue 2 War of the Independence crossover. So that's how the radio show started. So I heard it. I called up the station, WGBB. 1240 AM is the oldest radio station in Long Island that is still on the air. And I talked to them, and I found out what I needed to do. So I was working at Blockbuster at the time. I went and I spoke to my coworkers, and we decided to build a little show. It's going to be a half-hour show. We kind of based it off of the View at the time because the View was a big thing. And the only reason
Who was
I
Barbara
remember,
Walters? Were you Barbara Walters?
No, Barbara Walters was Todd Wright. He was the older guy. Now I guess Barbara would be our senior correspondent, Charlie Saladino.
Yeah,
Um,
except
then
not as tactful.
it's morphed over. I would always look at it like I'm Meredith. That's what I would be. I would be the Meredith of the group back then anyway. Now I wouldn't liken our show to the View at all because the View is not doing well at all.
So who's Joy?
Joy would have been Hassan Godwin, who was a friend of mine who I had known since the comic book school that I went to, the New York Academy of Comic Book Arts and Fantasy Illustration in Manhattan in the 90s, which is where the comic book came to play that we're going to be talking about a little later. So he was a friend of mine, and we became good friends at the comic book school, and we were talking. And one day I was like, hey, if I'm going to have a radio show, would you be a part of it? And he was like, yeah, sure. But the thing was, as the story goes, he didn't believe me. He didn't think I was actually going to do it. So he was just saying, sure, whatever. And then I come back to him like about a couple months later and go, okay, this is when you got to show up. And he's like, what are you talking about? And so then he was the right-hand man because at the time he worked at Wizard Magazine. So he was the man on the inside. So the idea was to have different people from different walks of life about comic books. We had the old guy who knew the old time stuff. They had me, who was the host. We had Hassan, who was the as he was like to be called, the angry black man, but he had the inside track. And then we had a female who knew nothing about comics or anything, and she would be the comic book novice. So that was the original title of the show, was the Comic Book Novice, and that was how we kind of played it off, that we wanted to try to be appeal to everybody. So that was why Comic Book Novice, and then we changed it to It Came from the Radio, and then I had Pete on as the guy with the inside information, and we rotated out hosts throughout the years, and now we've been going for about almost 20. The 20th anniversary is going to be next year.
Wow, fantastic. Charles Morgan, by the way, says, hello, Phil and everyone. What's going on, Charles?
Hello, Charles W. Morgan.
Charles is going to be following you with his first campaign soon, so he's going to get to know all about the stresses. So, Peter,
Yes.
DC Marvel inker and beyond. Tell us what's going on, brother.
Well, I mean, I mentioned before the show, have this other book, which is Wildcat Anthology, that I'm a part of. I inked a story in that, and that just got funded. There's 12 more days on that. So very happy about that. So we're really plugging along with our project here. Yeah, just we got a whole tour set up, and we added a couple more shows to the mix as of today. And like Mark will tell you, like really intricate details about the project, but essentially it's a 5-issue miniseries, a complete story from beginning, middle, and end. Yeah, there's aliens in it, 2 different alien races, and Earth kids are like the main focus of the story, that come into superpowers that they discover, and it's a really, really good story. It's so the creation of the comic is a long story in its in and of itself. But I met Mark way back when at a small New York convention, and he showed me his project, and I looked at the art and was already like, yeah, I would love to be a part of this project. And he gave me the script, and it's like, I took it home and read it and was impressed and really thought it was really well written, and I was like, I definitely want to be a part of this project. And, there's been ups and downs with it. We had other publishers hooked to it and whatnot, but we're finally getting it out there. The first issue is fully penciled, fully inked, fully scripted. It just needs coloring and lettering, and then printing and shipping and all that. But yeah, it's a really good looking project. When we go to the page, you'll be able to check it out and all that.
Fantastic. So, I mean, I know you said it's a long process, and it was long in making, and there's a long story involved in getting the book going. But for the interest of moving forward, give us the abridged version. How did you come up with the concept and getting this team together and getting this book finally done?
So going back to the comic book school that I went to in the 90s, I wanted to get in. I always wanted to be in comics. So the idea was to try to make a comic book back then when I was in the school. And the teachers told us that it would take about $2,000 to make your own comic book of 90s money. And I was like, I can do that. I can make $2,000 to spare to make a comic book. Apparently, obviously not. But I started coming up with an idea for a comic book. And the other discussion at the time was, hey, how do people get into the business without getting their property stolen, without getting their ideas taken? This was before IPs became a thing as it is now. So the answer was to make something that you're willing to lose a part of. So you have your main idea, your main story, and then you have something else that you're willing to use to get your foot into the door. Then when you become a regular in the comic book world, you can go back and say, okay, well, this is what I really wanted to do. So I made Designated as an anti-story, because at the time in the 90s, everything was extreme and explosions and super overpowered stuff. It was crazy in the 90s in the comic book world. So I thought my story would be very subdued, very low key. Most of the story takes place of the 110 pages in like a day, and it's just kind of stuff just happens. So I wrote the story. I wrote it out. I wrote it as 5 separate issues, but over the time it was, oh, you should release it as a graphic novel, because at the time trades were starting to be the thing, and they're like, illustrations don't sell, trade sells. But then years change and goes back and forth. Meet other people, say to the publisher, meet other publishers, blah 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 blah. But I wrote it back then, and I had a friend from high school. His brother, his younger brother, was like, I would like to draw it. So it was just a guy who never drew anything before, thought he could try to draw it. So I gave him the 110 pages. I was like, go forth and draw it. And it took him, I think it was like 2 years to draw it. And so from when he started to when he finished, his ability increased and got better. And so at the end of the 110 pages, I had him go back and redraw a couple of pages in the first issue. And then he started doing like spot panels. So then after that was done, that was when I was looking for an inker, and that's how I met Pete. So through all that time was about already, I'd say about 10 years from when the book was incepted to when it came to Pete. And then we still had ups and downs to finally get to this point where, thanks to the pandemic, because the crowdfunding boom, we're able to do it myself and bring it to a Kickstarter.
Very cool. Now, we're going to look at the page here, and then I'm going to ask you, after we go through the book a little bit, how it's been, because I'm going on my 4th Kickstarter and my 5th campaign or 6th campaign, and with Indiegogo, and it's a roller coaster. It's emotionally draining, and people don't understand that. But we're going to get into that and talk about that in a minute. John Ottinger, what's going on? Will Playden, how are you? Let's show this trailer first, and let me know if you had any audio issues. All right?
Okay.
All right.
Yappa toy, and welcome to the Designated Kickstarter promotional video. This is your narrator, as well as the creator of Designated, Mark Torres speaking. As we scroll through some pages penciled by Jade Smith, with inks by Marvel and DC's very own Peter Palmiotti, with a cover by Babe artist Francesco, also inked by Peter Palmiotti, I will tell you a little bit about the book. Designated is a 5-issue miniseries that tells the tale of 2 warring alien races, the peace-loving Forlorns and the warlike Duronians, fighting over a newly discovered power source, the Capricious Star. This war finds its way to Earth, and our 5 heroes, Natasha, Kelly, Chris, Adam, and his younger brother Ed, not only wind up caught in the middle, but each gaining powers as a result. Designated has been a passion project of mine for almost 30 years. It is a full and complete story, over the 5-part series that is, and all 110 pages have already been written and penciled. With your support, you can help us get issue 1 colored, printed, and sent directly to you. Now, what Kickstarter campaign would be complete without perks? Not this one. We have a few items, such as digital and physical copies of the book, trading cards, original artwork, and few high-end collectors out there, custom-made 5- and 6-inch clay figurines as the main characters by clay sculptor Shadow Rabbit. You can see more of his finished stuff at www.shadowrabbitart.com. As I have said countless times on my syndicated radio show, It Came From Radio, which can be heard on both terrestrial and online radio stations, as well as on over 40 different podcast places. If you're unable to financially support this project, like and share it on your social media platforms. Maybe someone else you wouldn't even know about it will be able to help and be part of making this book a reality.
Cool. All right. So we have $4,252 of a $6,128 goal. You got 20 backers with 18 days to go. As I said, you should be proud of yourself because a first time Kickstarter campaign, and you're going to surpass 5 or 6 grand. I think you're going to fund no problem. So that's pretty great for first time. So pat yourself on the back and just keep going, but don't rest on your laurels, of course. Everybody, this green button is your friend. It's even more Mark's friend. Hit back this project, and you can pick your tier, which we're going to go into. Before we do that, Do you want me to play this as well, or?
It's the same video, from what I
Okay.
understand.
Yeah.
So, Peter obviously talked about it, but from your point of view, Mark, as the creator, tell us about the story. Give us that pitch. Why we wanna pledge on this.
Well, I think past Mark, who did the video, explained the story pretty accurately. It's two alien races coming together, fighting over a power source. Comes to Earth, gives these 5 people here. They wind up getting powers as a result. If you like science fiction, if you like low-key stories, I did my best not to talk down to the audience. A lot of things happen in the book because they just happen, and there's no one that knows why it's happening. I mean, I know what's happening, so I try to make it so that the characters don't know what's going on, and they would act as if they don't know what's going on. And when they ask somebody who doesn't know what's going on, that person also doesn't know what's going on. They're just kind of rolling with the punches. That's why I was saying it's a very small story, like I said, about a day, which is the entire the chunk of the 5 issues. This campaign is just for the first issue, but as I mentioned before, all 110 pages are written, and we have the option, the ability, that if we actually hit certain stretch goals, we can give you issue 2, issue 3, issue 4, and then the trade. So that's also a possibility.
Now, how many pages is this first issue?
First issue is 22 pages. Each issue is 22 pages.
Randy says, "Okay, you piqued my interest."
Awesome.
Randy saw a woman in her panties, and he got all excited. Farias, what's up, man? What's going on? All you have to do is show Randy some naked cartoon character, and he's all boing.
Well, she's half naked, or partially naked.
She's naked enough for him to go boing. Anyway, I can hear the tissues and tweezers coming out now. Anyway, Randy and I like to bust each other's chops.
It's terrible.
So you did a smart thing, giving lettered pages for people to see what your writing is like, which is very smart because some people will not back just based on a beautiful looking book. The art looks great, nice panel work. Scrunchels are cool. Obviously got a professional Pete on there.
So remember, this artwork was drawn all those years ago.
Right. So you're going to see the progression as you go through the pages, like you said.
Yeah.
That who actually. Did the colors?
That's Hassan Godwin, who was one of my friends from the radio show. But the first page was actually a redrawn. So he drew that after he had finished the full 110, because the original page of that I didn't like, so he went back and redid that.
Okay. Very cool. And George, a.k.a. Jorge Medina, did the letters.
Yes.
I don't know if he's watching, but... so here you go. Obviously, you said we're looking to get the pages colored. Nice line work. Obviously, great inking, professional. I think I heard that guy's pretty good at inking.
Yeah.
And it doesn't hurt to have a well-known Marvel DC artist inker name on the book. Very
and at
cool.
the time when I met Pete, I don't even think I knew of any famous inkers. Back then, it was just, the penciler.
Yeah, well, that's because they always try to bury the inker, right, Pete?
Yep.
Looks like George didn't screw up the book either with his lettering. Congrats.
No, it's going to look good.
It's going to look really good.
Yeah.
So interior art by Jade Smith, pencils, Peter Palmiotti inks, Hassan Goodwin colors, and Jorge Medina lettering. With writing by Mark Torres. Okay, right. So what can we get with this 24-page book?
What can you get with it? You get a part 1 of a 5-issue story. As for perks and rewards, if you throw out a $1, which is what we reserve for our Patreons, you get a shout out on our show. So if you just want to support without contributing, you can get $1. I did not know that the thing that says pledge without a reward was going to be there. So I thought that you made that. So I was like, I'll just make $1 thing. But then that's there also. So like, it's fine.
Yeah,
I don't mind.
Kickstarter throws that in.
Yeah, I didn't know. Then for the $3, you get the digital. You get digital for $3. 15, you get physical and digital. For $20, you get physical, digital, and a trading card of Natasha Ashe, drawn by Brian Kong with inks by Alex Rivera.
Oh, cool. Brian's a real cool dude, and Alex is awesome too.
Yeah, that came out pretty cool. And then we jumped to the higher end, which is the original artwork, because remember, these are actual pages, penciled and inked, actually back in the day. And Pete's working on pages now for the future issues. But it's all fully inked for the first 22, so we have them, and we're going to give them away. If people want one randomly inserted, you get a page, and as you can see, the difference of I put that page on there because you can see the difference between the black and whites and the colors of the same page. And then we go for the super high end, which is the $220 for a Shadow Rabbit art clay figurine statue. It looks like this.
Hang on, let me get you on.
Looks like this. This is a 5-inch figurine that he made for me of my character Sunburst, which is the mascot of It Came From the Radio. You get a choice of any of the main characters of the book or the bad guy, which is a little taller, but you get one of those.
So I'm not plugging my book, but I want to show people what they can get with the Shadow Rabbit pledge. He did my tragedy.
Oh, awesome.
Exactly. That's a 5-inch, right?
Yeah, to give you size. No, it's 6-inch.
Oh, 6-inch.
6-inch.
He did a really big one, yeah, and he made it where it stands as is. You don't need a stand, but I'm going to get it like a Lazy Susan. And again, I'm not trying to plug my book on the show. I just want to show everybody the quality work. This is a hard,
really good
statue.
Stuff.
He did a beautiful job on the details and the painting. I mean, look at the tail. Shadow Rabbit just keeps getting better and better. So you're not going to get disappointed if you guys look to get a clay statue. You know, you call it a figurine, but these are statues. All right, that's high quality. I proudly have it up with all my other stuff. So I just wanted to let everybody know that is well worth the money on the tier.
Yeah.
And we also put a link in the page so we can check out more of his stuff, so you can get a better idea. And it's whatever design you want, you know, whatever pose you want. They're all original, custom made, crafted. You can pick any character you want from the book. That guy as well.
Yeah, I'm telling you, he's doing a great job, and it supports him. It supports the book and Mark and the team. It helps people get jobs and hire. So your money helps circulate into the independent scene, which means you're going to get better quality books. But we need you to invest in us for us to be able to give you that quality. So back and pledge this book, guys. You won't be disappointed. I always say once a week, forego one Happy Meal or a cup of coffee at Starbucks or something, and go back a Kickstarter. It makes a difference to somebody. It makes a big difference to a lot of people.
Absolutely.
So what else do we got here?
And then the super high end, which is you get a 10-inch figurine, or you can get a battle diorama of all the characters. So you can pick like a fight scene from the story. You can, like I said, once again, any positions, any poses you want of all the characters, you get them all in there.
Thanks, Randy.
Thanks, Randy. We appreciate it.
Yep.
See, you're good for something. So let's get this back up there. That's what you were just talking about.
Yep.
Very cool. Again, you know, highly painted detail too. Shadow Rabbit's doing a great job. And then you got add-ons. So what we got?
You got the
$5
trading card. I want to make a mention of the trading card. So as you were talking about the ups and downs of making your own campaign, that card was designed also by our graphic designer. So even the little words on the side and the placement of the Natasha Ash, she did that. And she designed this entire Kickstarter page. It's an amazing person. I want to give a shout out to Abby Gavato. Without her, this would not have been able to be done at all.
Awesome.
So it's little things you learn along the way, like, oh, you need a graphic designer for all these little things, like even the title and the placement of the title. That's a graphic designer, folks. That's somebody you need.
And not just that, but a simple thing you don't think of is like stretch goals. When you unlock stretch goals, you have to have the lock and unlock like show that it's been, reached and stuff. It's not easy. So stretch goals. If you hit 6,200.
You get digital copies of, since we do talk a lot of people on the radio show, we get people who are willing to give us some PDFs of their comics. So you get a total of 202 pages of 6 different comic books that are independently owned and created, Gesundheit. All the list is down there of all the different creators, and there are links there as well, so you can check out what you're getting. And we have, as I mentioned, we can do other stretch goals, but I figured let's do one at a time. So if we reach that first one, we can put up the next stretch goal, which is then you'll get issue 2. So if you order the digital of the issue 1, you get issue 1 and issue 2. If you get the physical, you get the physical of 1 and 2, and so on and so forth as we keep on getting higher stretch goals. But let's just get to the first one first.
And here's the team: Mark Torres.
Yep, and that is
with your
me.
classic jacket.
Yep.
And hat.
Yep.
Peter Palmiotti. Got the Max Headroom thing going on. Always reminds me of Max Headroom.
Cool.
I heard they're gonna bring that back.
So did I.
Yeah, that should be fun.
Yes, Randy, the OA will be available. Original pages are going to be available. One of the tiers, I'll show it again before we stop, includes an original page.
And you can get a sign too.
Yes. Jorge Medina. Abby Gabato. Very important to have someone design your page and make it look professional. So here we go, Randy. $120, a signed random original comic page, a physical copy of the book, and the digital copy of the book. So there you go. Original page is available.
Yep.
Inked by Peter Palmiotti.
Hey.
And somebody had mentioned this before in a different stream. The pages are really still in good condition. They're not yellowed or anything. Probably because they're all kept together in a little cold, dark place. But the pages they look still like they're done the other day, but they really were done 20-something years ago.
Yeah. One thing we haven't mentioned, we are putting together some more trading card art.
Okay.
Right.
Cool.
So we'll be putting up that when we're done.
Let's just show Randy again some of the black and white pages to see what kind of quality he'll get.
Yeah.
Because the colors are nice.
Obviously, the letters are digital, so you won't get the letters on the page. Right. You'll get the pencils and inks.
I could write it on the page.
You don't cut and paste and then courier them over on a bike? What the hell? What is this, the 80s? Not the 80s anymore?
I'll put my own word balloons on it and make.
Yeah, you can. For an extra $10, you can have Pete write up what you want on there.
Yeah, he'll put graffiti all over it.
Yeah.
So, people tell you Kickstarters are tough, and from the outside perspective, it's like, well, how tough is it? You make the page and you sell your stuff or whatever. Before we even get into the emotional aspect of campaigns, because it's you can't understand unless you do one. What was the most difficult task-oriented part for you in getting this campaign going?
Being able to see if we can actually get it done. So we were supposed to have a publisher, and at the last minute we decided to go separate ways. So it came down to, can I do it myself? So then I had to ask around, hey, do you think we can do this? And then what do I need to make this done? And the biggest thing was that graphic designer. So without that graphic designer, I would not be sitting here right now. So finding a graphic designer, and if you remember, I had asked you how much does a graphic designer go, and you're like, yeah, it's a couple $bazillion. I'm like, well, that's not good. So
I said it could be. It depends on who you talk to.
Right. So that's the other thing that you have to figure out: how much can you throw out there, and how much goodwill do you have to try to make something happen. I like to make sure everybody gets compensated in some way, shape, or form for their stuff. Sure. But some people are like, I'll give you the friends and family discount. I'll do it super cheap on the end, just because I want to make sure this gets done. Sure. Because they've known me for all these years. They know I've been trying to get this done for all these years. So the hardest part is just trying to find people that can do it within your budget.
By the way, with 20 backers, what the hell is the average backer amount for you to hit 4,252? Jesus, that's awesome.
It was 200 and something. I forget.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's great. Even Calderon.
Welcome.
Great artist.
Yeah, fantastic.
So, I tell everybody, back it or I'm going to toilet paper your house. And
Well,
listen, I know a
with the
lot of
price of
addresses in
toilet
my
paper right
Kickstarters.
now,
Yeah,
and
I know a lot.
disparity, people might want you to throw the toilet paper instead.
Not if it's used. Listen, I got a lot of addresses from my Kickstarters. I will toilet paper your house. I'm just kidding, Kickstarter. I will not use their addresses for anything bad.
Yeah, that's a box mark you have to check. You will
Yeah,
not toilet
exactly.
paper that house.
Exactly. Will you use these addresses to toilet paper houses? No. Then you can do a campaign. So talk about it emotionally over the first, you're 18 days to go. So it was a 30-day campaign, right? So you're 12 days in. What were your feelings right at launch, and as compared to what your feelings are now?
So it's for me, it's weird because I went through the emotional roller coaster before than I did now, because now I'm like, you know what? It's just going to happen. I'm going to do the best I can. I'm going to go out there, push as best I can. If I fail, I'll know that I did the best I could, and there's no regrets. So something had happened to me, I'd say about 7 or 6 years ago, that I came across a website called Kiva. Kiva is for small businesses, and it's a crowdfunding / loan place. So it was like one of those things that are too good to be true. But since I did it, and I actually raised $2,500, but it's a loan, you have to pay it back,
Right.
and that is basically the same thing. It's a crowdfunding time. You only have a certain amount of time to raise the funds, and I went all crazy with that. And it was within the last 3 days, I made the $2,500.
Wow.
So I already went through all that, so I know how it is. I'm like, if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. If it's not, it's gonna go up and down. I was prepared for all that. So the emotional stuff, it wasn't that much this time around. Back then it was crazy, but now I know what to expect. I'm like, it's just we're gonna do what we're gonna do. We're gonna push and we're gonna push and we're push. We know what we have to do on our end. I don't know about Pete, because Pete's done many campaigns or has been part of campaigns. How was it for you?
Good. I mean, this is unless I'm incorrect, this is probably the highest goal of a project. And yeah, it's like, it's always a roller coaster. This is the most I've done for a campaign that isn't mine.
And that's what I was going to ask you, actually. As an artist for hire,
right.
There's a certain level of investment you can have in a project or not. Some people are, look, I got hired to do a job, I did it, I move on. You're here plugging and being part of the show, which means you're a little more invested than just work for hire.
Yeah.
But how
it
is
has
that
everything
feeling for you?
It has everything to do with me and Mark knowing each other for a long, long time. This is a project that should have happened years ago. I'm committed to seeing it through at this point, and for our friendship, also because I believe in the project, and for our potential audience, I know it's a good book. From top to bottom, left to right, it's a good project, and I want to see us get all 5 issues and the final book totally funded and out there. It's a complete story, which is like, there's a lot of people doing one shots and ongoing series and whatnot, but this is 5 issues, beginning, middle, and end. It's a beautiful looking project. It's well told. It's engaging characters. It's worthy to be on your stack.
So Randy says, I bluff. I don't use toilet paper. You got me. Brian's asked, how many hours a week do you guys spend on these projects? I assume you have full-time jobs as well.
My full-time job is the radio show, so all of it.
I'm full-time. I work 7 days a week. It's like, this project is one of many. I mentioned Wildcat Anthology I was a part of, and there's ongoing stuff I do for that as well. But we set up for this one. We set up a whole tour shows to come on. You know, we got your show tonight, but we got 2 other shows that will be on later.
Yeah, you got one
Uh,
right after mine, and then one at like 1 in the morning.
Yep. So, like this is, it's a big goal, and I just want to make sure we get there. Make sure we pass the point of fulfillment and goal and all that, and yeah, get it out to people. You know, which will, once it's at that point, then it's all up to Brian. So,
Now,
I mean,
what's your
up to Mark. What am I saying, Brian?
I'll leave it up to Brian. Go ahead, Brian. You want to take over? You go right ahead. You get 10%.
what's your plan as far as scheduling? Like, are you looking to do a quarterly Kickstarter, or what is the plan? Because this will fund, I'm sure it will.
The answer to that will be, let's wait until we're a week away before we end, because like I said, we have the ability to have all 5 issues with this project. So if we do all 5 issues, it's a different story than if we barely make the first issue.
Right. Okay. And after the 5 issues, you know, assuming everything goes well, your funding, etc., is this it? The story's just, you wrote 5 issues, it was beginning, middle, end, or is there room for growth and moving forward with this story?
The end of the 5th issue is open-ended, but it's a beginning, middle, and end. Like, you don't need another story after this. If it gets received well, I have an idea that I've been sitting on for about 25 years of what to do, just like a bare bones idea in my head. What could I do for another 5 issues? And I think I really enjoyed making a 5-issue arc, so I think I'm going to stick with the 5-issue arc. The crossover that I did was a 1-issue thing, but it was between me and Mariano Nicieza, who's Fabian Nicieza's brother.
Yeah,
and
I'm
we
actually,
wrote the story
doing a
back and
crossover
forth
with him right now.
Yeah. So with me and Mariano, I wrote my part, and then he wrote his part, and then we went back and forth. Is that how it's working with you?
Yeah, I mean, I did a plot, I did a timeline layout format of the book, and then we both went over what we thought could be tweaked on it. We came to an agreement. Nice big mosquito, and then you know, we're having the pages drawn. We're doing it the Marvel way, and then
Right.
we'll go back and I'll throw in dialogue, and he'll obviously have his input on what his characters' personalities would say and how they would talk, and we'll
Right.
go from there. Yeah.
So that was that process. But with me, I was like, I don't think 1 issue was enough. I like the whole 5-story arc. I don't know why it was 5, but that's how it just kind of worked out back then. I like it. I'm
Which
just
works
gonna keep
anyway
on
for
with
trade
that.
paperback, collected volume.
Maybe subconsciously I was like, it has to be 5 issues. I can't say. I just know it was 5, and it works for 5. So if we do
I think 5 or
5.
6 works really well for an arc that has a meaty story either way. So I think it's just a natural thing as a writer. Now, these all fund. You get the 5 books done. Are you crowdfunding a collected volume, or are you going to go to like Scout Comics or Source Point Press and try to get it out there through them? What's the plan?
Once again, we have to wait to see when we get closer. Everything is very up in the air, like what we're going to do, because I like to plan ahead, but I also like to have a realistic plan. Like, there's so many options where we're not high enough on the branches to know exactly which branch. There's so many different things we can do. So we're like down here, and we can go any direction.
Now,
I want to get closer.
If you wanted to, would you
what I would
continue to
like to?
self-publish, or would you try to? I mean, would you want to solicit to?
I would want to get through to a publisher, because that was the original idea back then, and it's just finding another guy who thinks it can work out. That way, it takes a lot of headache off of me.
Yeah, look, distribution is the key. Distribution is the only thing, right? Look, indie comics quality has grown. Is there some that's yeah, but there's a lot that's great, and it's some of it's better than what's on the mainstream publishers, if not on par. But distribution is what's holding the indie scene back, because when you put your comic, like for example, I put my comic in a bunch of comic stores, they sold really well. But the problem is there isn't a new one coming out next month. So how many people are you really going to get to buy that book over and over? You know what I mean? People bought the book. The people who wanted it bought it.
Right.
Now you need them to come back for book 2, book 3, book 4. You know, most titles don't have more than 30 people a month collecting them, or 40 in a comic store. I mean, it's too finite when you know that book two is not coming out next month. So you may sell well originally, but then your book's going to get buried in that store because they know you're not coming out next month. So distribution is the key, and I'm really hoping. I've had ideas, but I don't have the money or the time. Someone breaks through with some sort of means of indie distribution that's on the up and up level with Diamond or Lunar or Penguin House, or something, because that would really bring things up, I think, a huge notch for the indie community. I
Yeah.
had people attack me on a show once last year or 2 years ago about how we don't need distribution. But yeah, we do. Crowdfunding is only going to take you so far. Not everybody's going to make the 30, 60, $70,000 crowdfund. It's not going to happen for everybody. You know, we got to get out there, and even still, it's very hard to
And
grow.
that's something else that I didn't know about Kickstarter. You have to join Kickstarter to get something on Kickstarter. So a lot of my friends and family, they're like, "Oh, I have to sign up. Why can't I just
Mhm.
press the button and just buy the book?" I know you have to sign up to buy the book, and so you lose people that way. If you just go somewhere and just go boop and you can hit the button, it's so much easier. So yes, if there was a distributor out there, and I was actually talking about this on a stream. This is kind of like the wrestling world back in the day, where everybody had their own little markets, and we need somebody to bring it all together. And like the
Mhm.
WWE, we need one guy to get like, all right, let's get everybody together, and then the independents can actually rise up and be
Right.
better than Diamond would ever have been.
Right.
Yeah.
But at the other end, I don't know if people know how distribution works. Diamond, they take 60%. And then by the time you pay for your print run and everything, you're walking away, if you're lucky, with 10% of your own book. That's got to change too. They've got to
Yeah.
find a way where the local comic store can get their markup, distribution gets paid, but the property owner, who's putting all the time and money invested in it, is getting more than 10% of their own book. Especially since you're losing money until you get multiple revenue streams. You're going to lose money through a distributor with one book. It is very difficult, and people don't understand the business side of it yet. They think you put a book out, you make the cover price. Nope. Of that $5, you're lucky if you walk away with $1 of it. Not even 60 cents, 50 cents. Sometimes you lose money. So there's a lot of things that gotta have to turn in your favor. But crowdfunding is a good way to start. Building an audience, getting an email list. That's a wonderful thing. You know, Mark, can you drop that link in the chat
Yeah, I can
to
do
the
that.
Kickstarter?
Yeah.
And as you can see, a lot of well-known artists from the big publishers have gone to crowdfunding. So they're, it's a very good, useful tool. I'm not trying to knock it. I just don't know how sustainable it is for everyone. For some people, it is. If you're Billy Tucci or EVS, or you know people, or Brian Polito, it's
Yeah.
been very lucrative. But how many people can you name? I mean, Marat Michaels has done well, and if you're not doing a booby book, it's very hard on crowdfunding to make 30, 40, $50,000 unless you make a booby book.
Yeah. I know my brother has done what? I lose track, maybe 15 Kickstarters,
Has he
whatever
done
it's
that?
been. He's got a new one that it's a Manda art book. And
Right,
that's doing really well. But like his crowdfunders have done well, but like his profit off of them is like he's putting money into these books, so
right.
it's not a large profit, um, but it is getting the books out. It is getting
Oh, he's on Facebook. Okay, because I'm like, why isn't it popping up?
Yeah, that's why I don't do it, because it goes to my Creatorcon Facebook page. It's really weird. You know what? Let me see if I can put it here. Hang on, I think I got it.
Because I'm putting it into YouTube and it's not popping up.
Now it's gonna go by the main page that I'm off of. And for those of you who wonder why I go off my main page, because I am able to dodge some of the algorithms that block you. Facebook blocks group pages, Facebook blocks business pages. They're
And they
very
make it very
lovely.
hard now to tag people with a business page because
Yeah.
that changed. It changed a couple weeks ago when I was trying to tag people when we covered the Eternalcon. I can't tag people anymore like I used to with businesses. It's very difficult.
Uh,
Let me see if I can paste it here. Did it pop up on Facebook? It should have. There you go.
there.
Yay!
So there you go, Randy. Click that, as well as anybody else. Raphael is here. Raphael! I asked Raphael to help me fulfill this weekend, and he's like, nah, man, I got a hot date. An ownership link was added to your video by a content owner? The hell does that mean?
Is that me?
This video is mine.
Ah.
I'm not even understanding Facebook anymore. They actually got on me when I didn't use any. There was no copyright issues, and they said it was a copyright issue. How? There was no music. I didn't make any reference to anybody else's stuff. It was my book. I was selling my book online. I was like, what the hell are you talking about? So then I fought it, and they gave me like 20 minutes later. We amended it. We made a mistake. I'm like, what?
Because the bots caught it and then they effed up.
I just don't know what they caught though, because maybe saying the word tragedy, they thought it was the Bee Gees song. I don't know. So anyway, before we get going, because you do have another show, again, give us the elevator pitch, like the Netflix pitch, the 2 or 3 sentence. Why the hell we want to back this book?
If you like aliens, if you like young adults, if you like a story set in the 90s, I have to say it's set in the 90s because it was written in the 90s, you will enjoy this book. It's very, I like it, so the fact it's 2 warring alien races coming together, fighting over a power source. War comes down to Earth. Humans get imbued with powers. They're very low-key powers. It's a very beginning, middle, end. This is just the first issue. Hopefully we can get all 5 within this campaign. I also want to throw out the powers, which people like to hear about. So we have the main character, Natasha Ashe, deep blonde, based off of Britney Spears back in the day. She has the power of enhanced gut. So whenever she has a decision, you hear that little voice. Usually that voice, you don't listen to it. She listens to it. Good things happen to her. Moving up, we get Adam, who is based off of Adam Park from Power Rangers. I was a Power Ranger fan back in the 90s. You get he has upper limit human body strength, speed, and endurance when under duress. So, for example, if you're trying to catch a bus, you can catch a bus because you can run as fast as Usain Bolt, who is the fastest human right now, as far as I know. Moving on up to Kelly. She was based on the Olsen twins at the time. She has the ability, which is my favorite ability, she's able to absorb the strongest emotion in the immediate area and redirect it onto everybody else. So, for example, if you're in a bar or a sporting event and one person is very angry or sad, she will become angry and sad, and then everybody else will become angry or sad depending on the strongest emotion in the area. Moving down, we have Chris. He was based off of my old friend Chris Hughes. And his design was based off of the movie Day After Tomorrow. It was the black guy in that movie. So that's where his look came from. And he has the ability to have a super memory. So like right now, there's a photographic memory. There's actress right now, Mary Lou Henner. She has a photographic memory where she can just remembers everything. That's just the way it is. It's something that's actually right now a real thing. He has the next step. So if he reads, let's say he reads a dictionary, he can read every word in the dictionary and will remember every word in the dictionary in the order that he got it in. That doesn't necessarily make him smarter, just makes him that he's able to remember things. And then moving down, we have Ed, which is Adam's younger brother, who's 5 years old. He was based off of the little Chinese boy from Godzilla's Revenge, the
I love
Godzilla
the
movie.
Yeah,
the little Asian with a little hat and little shorts, the little boy. That was where I got his look from. He has, since he's 5 years old, they always say that the children can have better powers because they have that imagination, and the reality of the real world doesn't exist yet, so they can do things that most people can't do and think of. So he has the ability to astral project when he's asleep He can appear in other people's dreams. He can appear in real life in front of people as long as he's sleeping. And he also has the ability to manifest energy in his hand to create physical items. So, for example, if he's in a locked trunk and he needs a key will appear in his hand to unlock it because he needs a key. Once again, the story is very low key. We don't talk down to the audience. They don't know they have these powers and how these powers work. Stuff just kind of happens. And basically, the aliens come, they get their powers, stuff happens as a result, and then the book ends.
Indie Wrestling, what's going on?
Hey, Indie Wrestling Aces.
Thank you so much, Randy.
Yeah, Randy pledged the 120 tier, and he said make sure he gets a good away page. And Randy just knew that he wanted to be safe because I know where he lives, and he didn't want toilet paper all over the front of his house. So that's a good bump up, right?
Oh, cool, man. Thanks.
Yeah, you're like 1,800 away, less. That's awesome. Rest, you gonna put your money where your mouth is? Huh? I'm going to.
And if you can't, I always say, share it out there. If you can't afford that dollar, share it out there. That's worth its weight in gold for us.
Yeah.
I agree. Pete, you got anything else you want to add?
No, I mean, like we're really proud of the project, and it's really coming together more than it's ever done before, and we really just want to finish the book and get it out there. So yeah, we're getting on every show we can and promoting it, letting people know, sharing it online. And I'm gonna have to do what you said, like message people directly, because I'm blanking on things as I'm trying to do everything else.
Calling out people like, hey,
yeah,
you said you wanted to support me. Share it out.
Careful. When you become obnoxious, you're gonna piss people off. And I pledged and got you over 4,400. So there you go.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
I've had a couple of friends. I was like, all right, I'm calling you out. And like, okay, you got me. I said I was going to do it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Call out those friends. What's going on, John Oninger and everybody still here? Anybody else want to pledge and support? Look, I know Mark a while now. Mark has been a really kind guy. He's generous. He cares about the community. He's done a lot for my conventions. He's done a lot to promote me. And he always reaches out to me, offering for me to be on the show, and reminds me, because my mind is mush, when those things happen. Mark is one of those people that is a backbone and strength for this indie community, and he's earned the respect of giving it back to him. And I'm serious about that. Mark is a good guy. He cares about what he's doing. He's passionate about it. And he does a lot to promote so many other people. So now it's our turn to promote and lift him up. As far as Pete, fuck it. No, I'm just kidding. As far as Pete, again, Pete is another good guy. I have worked closely with Pete. And, he's like everybody else. He's just trying to live the dream and love what he's doing and be passionate. And, this is a guy that's got a great resume, but yet he still loves just doing the job, no matter if it's an indie book or a published book, like a big published book or whatever. Peter just cares about and is passionate about art, inking, creating.
Yeah.
What better people to promote? What better people to lift up? What better people to support? And it's like Mark said, just share out. Let them tag you. Tell them, hey, it's okay to tag me in a post. The more people they reach, I never understand people that get bent out of shape about tags. What's the big deal? I get tags all the time. Everybody knows they can tag my page. I'll get 15 tags in a day. I don't mind. If it helped, you get one backer. And
it's not like we're stapling a note to your back.
Yeah, kick me. Yeah. And just remember, you build followers one follower at a time.
Right. So
be the help, not the hurt. Charles
Thanks,
says
Charles.
he'll be pledging.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, Charles. Appreciate that.
Very cool. And we're gonna have to be giving the same speech for Charles soon. Gonna have to have him on the show because he's gonna go through hell soon. But Mark, I'm so glad that you got to get this project off the ground finally. I know it's been a long time. Um, Peter, it's always good talking with you and seeing what
Yeah.
you're up to. And I wish you both the greatest of success. Live the dream, be the dream, have fun while you're doing it.
Thanks.
Yeah.
What's
Thank
the
you
show
so
you're gonna
much.
be on at 10:30 so everybody can go check you out there?
We will.
Kayla, what is it?
Kayla Cuts Deep, which
There
is
it is.
on Death Curse channel on YouTube.
I have no problems with you dropping a link on my page or in this chat for people to go over there and see you there as well, and the other show at 1 in the morning.
Yeah.
Feel free to drop those links anywhere on my pages.
Okay. Absolutely.
All right. Like I said, I don't. It's hard. It's so hard to market and get out there. And as much as I don't like strangers just soliciting me in my DM, because DM is more private, I do understand why they do it. You know, I'm not a big fan of it, but I don't get angry of it at it because I understand the desperation. You're working so hard, you're trying so hard, and you can taste it. You want it so bad, you know. You can taste it, and you're reaching, and you're like, oh, I'm almost there. So
There's
you know,
been a couple times where we were almost there.
I get it. I get it. But yeah, man, tag and share anytime you want when it comes to me and my page. Guys, we're
Cool.
hitting an hour.
Yep.
Have fun on the next two shows. I wish you the best of success always. And if I can do anything else to help, you know to reach out and let me know. If you have any other questions about Kickstarter or whatever, let me know. What's going
Thanks,
on,
man.
Jim?
We'll do.
Yes.
All right,
Thanks.
so
Thanks so much, Phil.
yeah, I'll give you real quick the last word, Mark, last word, Pete, and we'll go.
Last word. You can always find us on, find me on the Came From Radio, www.camefromradio.com. The links for the designated Kickstarter is on there, Twitter and Facebook. We have a weekly radio show. If you are living in Westchester County, that's 88.1 FM WARY, multiple times Monday through Friday. If you don't, we are on a couple of online radio stations, and we're on 40 different podcast places. So if you just Google It Came From the Radio, we'll pop up, listen to our show. Hopefully you'll become a fan of the show and support the book.
Right. And Peter Palmiotti on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube mostly. Yeah, follow me on all those places and keep track of the many projects I'm juggling right now.
And go subscribe to Pete's YouTube channel.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I hope
Thanks,
to see everyone.
Very cool. All right, guys. Thanks for being a part of this and coming on. Again, wishing you the best and anything I can do to help.
Thanks, man. Appreciate
Awesome.
it.
Yes.
Take care.
Take care.
All right, real quick reminder. We've got the designated issue 1 of 5. They are close to being funded with 18 days to go. Please don't make them sweat. Hit that green button, which isn't showing because I pledged saying back this project. They have tiers as low as $15. You can donate $5 or $10 if you don't want the book, but you want to support. Forego a cup of coffee this week at Starbucks where your name is spelled wrong. Forego a McDonald's Happy Meal. Support a Kickstarter. You're making dreams come true, and you're getting people hired. All right, the designated issue 1. The link is in the chat. Go check it out. There's original art tiers, digital tiers, comic tiers, and they're also promoting other indie comic books. There's a stretch goal that when they hit the 6,200 mark, you can unlock 6 independent issues of other creators digitally. So you're going to get a ton of reading content just by backing this project. All right. Having said that, before we go, I want to remind you, if you need a creative team to make your book happen, whether it's a penciler, inker, writer, editor, letterer, colorist, Legendary Illustrations has it. Cover artist, we've got it all. And we understand an indie budget. Contact me and we'll hook you up with some great talent. The other thing is we're available for commissions and we do live drawings almost every week when I'm not running around somewhere at a con. Lastly, Tragedy 3 books are supposed to be here tomorrow before 7, and you bet your ass I will be on that like flies on poop, and I will be fulfilling, and it'll all be going out Monday. You have my word. Unless lightning strikes me or something happens, I will have those books fulfilled, and you will have them before the end of next week, which means I have pushed back Tragedy 4 from this Tuesday, the 16th, to next Tuesday, the 23rd or 23rd, because I don't want to launch until I know you've got book 3 and you feel satisfied. Okay? So that means you got to read book 3 right away so you know what you're getting into for book 4. But please pledge and back book 4. This story is just getting started. It's wild. It's fun. It's Big Trouble in Little China meets Boondock Saints or John Wick, whatever generation you're in, with more. So go check it out. Tragedy. It's a tragedy. All right, and keep an eye out for Unknown Heroes. It's an anthology coming out in October. I'm a part of that with my new book, The Dynamics, which is a fun, lighthearted family tale, and it's a superhero book. And lastly, Creatorcon Q&A. I will be interviewing yet again the awesome creator of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Kevin Eastman. All right, and that will be Monday, August 22nd, the day before I launch Tragedy. All right, so come, I'll post about that and check it out if you want to see me interview Kevin Eastman again. He's a regular with me. He's an awesome dude. He's a fan just like us. I love talking to him. All right, you guys are awesome. I'm going to leave you with what I always leave you with. What do I always leave you with? Tell me in the chat. Be legendary and have fun storming the castle.